Like, what really gets you up in the morning?
Well, first, let me say thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored. And I find these meetings, I live on Zoom, and you would think at this point I would be really comfortable with Zoom, but I still find it just extremely awkward. And I try not to watch myself because when I'm talking, it's so distracting to see yourself. So anyway, I apologize in advance if I'm awkward, but I think we all probably can relate to that a little bit. But so my purpose, I would say what gets me up in the morning is usually my senior citizen cat, but no, I know that's not what you're asking about right now. I think being a part of something bigger is really important to me. And I would say that's one of the big things that gets me up in the morning. And you mentioned, my strong desire to be part of my community and to give back to my community. And there's the cliche of kids needing a village. And I'll just share a story. When Katie asked me to talk with you today, it took me back to when I applied to be in Leadership Kitsap. As she mentioned, I was working for American Red Cross, which was really meaningful to me. But I had young children. I was married to an educator, and I really felt strongly about the fact that every child needs a village. And while I was serving families at the Red Cross, I just had a real strong desire to really be a part of a village for the kids in our community. And however you define that village, I mean, whether it's, that close circle of people supporting your kids or in a broader sense. And so I spoke to that in my Leadership Kitsap interview and ended up being on a project team that we did a project that served youth. And that's really kind of what led me to Bremerton Rotary. Rotary's got a strong partnership with the Bremerton School District. This is before I had kids in the district, but I really liked the Avid Mentorship Program, the work we were doing to promote literacy, our scholarships. So that's when I became an avid mentor for Bremerton School District high school students. So in the education thing, Katie mentioned I'm from a family of educators, but I never felt like I had the gift to be an educator. And I found for a long time, I found other ways to be able to give back to kids. And so when I had the opportunity to apply for this position, it just seemed like all the pieces fell together. But being a part of something bigger and knowing that my work is supporting young people in the community, somewhat indirectly sometimes, but that's, I would say, my purpose.
Amazing. And I think, since I've known you, I've known that about you. And so what helps keep you motivated and in your work, at home?
Well, real quick, I'll share my screen because maybe if I can.
To be able to.
There's Katie. What I wanted to, I thought that would be fun. As a mom, I love being a mom, and I'm very proud of my children, and I love showing off my family. So, personally, what keeps me motivated is my kids. That's my daughter Evelyn and my son Keith, and that's my husband Jeff. I guess I put a picture of him with a beer, which is very, very, very much Jeff, but I guess there's no kids. I'm so sensitive to that because I work in a school district. I was like, I put a picture with beer. But that's a picture of my kids. The colorful picture is a picture of my kids in front of the Berlin Wall last year. We had an opportunity to travel to Iceland and Germany when I attended the Rotary International Conference as outgoing Rotary president. So on a personal level, just planning adventures for my kids and my family and helping my kids grow and learn and become their own people is very, very motivating. I absolutely love being a mom. Hardest job ever, but the most rewarding. Yes?
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't?
You have to hit share one more time. So hit share.
Oh, one more time. Oh, my goodness. Here I'm talking about my beautiful family. And
now they are beautiful.
They're not. Okay, it's not showing. Maybe hit cancel. Let me try this again. Well, if not, I'm going to just tell you my husband's really handsome. My kids, it's not letting me share. Oh, here we go. It's asking me what I want to share. Share.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. So there's the Berlin Wall. There's my kids. There's my husband with a beer. Since we're all adults here, I'm good with that photo. Anyway, in terms of what keeps me motivated and focused at work, and I guess I'm going to pause the share. And can you see me again?
Yeah, we can still see you even with the.
Okay, good. So, as someone working in the school district, it's kind of funny. I felt a little intimidated talking to you about purpose as the district's communication director, because frankly, I work with people that are some of the most purpose-driven people I've ever met in my life. So I feel kind of funny, saying how I'm purpose-driven when, I'm serving kids, but I'm not in the classroom, and I have so much respect for teachers and the work they do. But for me, like I said, I didn't really feel like I had the gift to be a teacher, but I was so committed to education and kids. And, I view myself as an advocate for families in the district. And so I come in with a different perspective. Most people on the leadership team here in the district office all have an education background, which of course is important. But I bring the business background with 25 years of experience in communication, both corporate, government, nonprofit. And so I bring that experience to the table. But I also bring the perspective as a parent to the table. And I'm a non-educator, so the lingo, breaking stuff down as we're communicating to families. And but I feel like I'm an advocate for families, pushing for what we need to do from a communication standpoint at a district level, as well as building level, to communicate with our families and to make things easier for our families, and come in and create new systems or better systems, improve our systems to be able to better meet the needs of our staff and our students. And I'm a problem solver. There was not anyone in this position specifically when I was hired. Communications responsibilities were kind of other duties as assigned, but Aaron Lavelle and the board felt strongly that communication, and I agree, it can't be other duties as assigned. It really there has to be a dedicated person. And so in this job, I get to learn all the time. I'm learning all about education. And I'm learning about, as a group, we're learning about, institutional racism and the things, and so that we can learn about it so that we can do better for our students. I'm learning more about educational justice. So it's really motivating for me to always be learning. And I get to learn about every program, every department, every school as I try to tell our story, whether it be social media or family newsletters, board updates. I get to learn about every single program in the district. And that to me is just really exciting. It keeps work really interesting. We talked about what gets me up in the morning. I'll tell you, sometimes my work keeps me up at night, not just getting me up in the morning, because it's really personal to me, and it's really personal to the other people here that I work with, both teachers, but in the district office. We truly care about our kids, all of our kids, and sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming, especially when we're dealing with stuff where kids are struggling. It's very personal. So, but it's also very motivating. So I feel really, really fortunate to do work that keeps me as motivated and engaged as this job does.
Well, and you mentioned, I always think of that too, as educators having such a strong purpose. So do you feel like during this time of crisis, well, in any crisis, but specifically now, like with COVID, like in your meetings and things like that, has purpose aided your leadership and your communication? Do you just come back to that?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna scroll down to the next slide here, and I'm not going to read the mission and vision. I wanted to show this to you, and also here's some values. The mission and vision is pretty common in organizations. Breaking it down a little further to our values, and by the way, that's a picture of my kids at my daughter's 5th grade graduation. But it absolutely does. And I think I share these with you because it's no secret, right? Everybody here has their own sense of purpose and their own why for being in education. But it's really critical as an organization that we have some shared mission, vision, values, so that we're not just all steering the ship in our own direction, but we're steering it in the same direction. And it is absolutely foundational for every discussion we have, every decision we make. And I'm not going to tell you that the mission and vision values are that drive all of our decisions, because that's not realistic. Obviously there's budget constraints, there's union considerations, there's state and federal mandates. All of that plays into decisions that are made, but it absolutely is foundational and critical as we, especially going through all this COVID stuff, make decisions and do planning. But it's also, and I'm going to scroll to another slide here in a second. But I think
slide, Karen.
What's easier? Oh, I keep doing that. Okay. I shouldn't have even tried to do slides because I'm just struggling here.
There's so much grace at this time because
Okay, so now you can see it? Okay, so there's our mission and vision. Really quick, I'll just speak to the photo. That's our graduation gauntlet. Kids, obviously, we couldn't have in-person graduation. And as Monica Zuber said, the principal of the high school, after we had our good cry about that, we got to work on figuring out how we can honor those kids. And that was a huge part. Purpose is a huge part of the district's resiliency during this whole COVID pandemic, because I'm telling you what, people working crazy hours, people our staff coming up with ways to continue important traditions and honor our kids, like with graduation, with the graduation gauntlet, which we redid the surface of the track this fall. So because of that, we could have our students drive on the track. So they came in, their cars were decorated, they got to drive around the track, and then they got their diploma, and they actually got personal interaction with both Dr. Lavelle and Monica Zuber. And we actually have had families that say, well, we know that was for COVID, but can we do that again next year? Because it was really special to families. And so this next slide here is our values. And these really, again, are foundational for all of the discussions that we have and decisions that we make. And we keep these very visible. We've got posters in our buildings, staff have copies, and very often we'll start off meetings reviewing them as an organization and talking about it and making sure that as we're moving forward that we're all keeping our shared mission and vision and values at the center, because it's otherwise, again, we're all here for our own purpose, but we may not be going in the exact same direction.
That's amazing. I think it's just an example of just the school district as well as yourself living purpose. So I want to take a moment and see if there's if anyone has any questions for Karen.
Okay, just one other thing really quick, if I could. I included this slide. So this is a presentation I did recently for Bremerton Rotary, just to get them up to speed on all the things and thank them for their support. I say thank us. I'm still in Bremerton Rotary, but I wanted to share this photo, which is one of my favorites. This is a little dude, and I love it. He's got no shoes on. He's got mismatched socks. He's in a costume, and he's getting his lunch. And most of you may be aware, we've been delivering school lunches on the school bus since last spring. We weren't able to do it over the summer. There were some funding considerations, but when schools closed, we just felt so strongly that we needed to continue feeding our kids and not have that expectation that families come to us. We did distribute at the buildings, but we distributed meals. And as you can see, we had over 208,000 meals in the spring. And then we had our summer meal program, which was over 80,000. And right now we're back to delivering. And it's 1,000 meals a day on average that we're serving, although that's gone up a little bit actually. And as we did this last spring, here we're in the middle of a pandemic and people are scared. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it took about 80 positions a week to be able to staff all of those positions on the buses and in the schools. And as a whole, the district didn't think it was fair to put all of that on transportation and our child nutrition services. So we put an ask out to staff. And so we were able to fill, 80 positions a week with people, teachers, office people, paraeducators. The sign-up sheet got filled up so fast that people were upset they missed an opportunity to ride a bus because they wanted to help our kids, and people missed being around the kids. And we had families tell us that the school buses pulling up with those meals, it not only provided meals, and for some of our kids it was the only meals they were having, but it provided a sense of normalcy. And that's just one of my favorite stories to tell about this whole crazy pandemic time, because as a district, I'm just so proud of the work we did and how we all pulled together. And it all came down to our shared purpose, which is doing what is best for our kids in our district. And so I just wanted to close with that because it's pretty special to be a part of something like that. And, I was watching the Ikigai thing, which I wasn't familiar with that concept until I was preparing for today. And gosh, I just feel like I am so lucky because all of the things in Ikigai, fit for me with this job. I wasn't looking for work. I love the health district. I really, like Kate said, I kind of dodged a bullet on that job, honestly. And I'm actually in touch with my colleague, Tad, who took my position quite frequently. But I just feel so fortunate that I was able to come into a job where I get to use, it was almost like the job was written for me. I was able to use the experience from all of my work, all of my different jobs, have contributed to my ability to be successful in this role. And it also, helps me fulfill my purpose of giving back to my community and being a part of that village. So I'm actually print the Ikigai. I think that's really interesting and kind of a light bulb moment for me. So thank you for the opportunity to learn something new as well.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And that is such a beautiful example of the school meal program, because I think, like you said, since if the organizations that had real strong purposes through this, I think they were able to innovate and be creative and just figure it out. And it's a lot like what Deidre said. It wasn't like if we were going to do it, it was how. So that's a perfect example. Thank you. So anyone quickly have any questions for Karen? I'm so grateful for you to be here. Thank you. Sorry, I'm waiting for that uncomfortable silence, but I think we've got I just want to say thank you so much, Karen. And I know, it was just started as roommates, and look, here we are.
I know, and I'm so thankful for that.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to throw it over to Jennifer now, so then